So the question number 2 says, why would what the technique of measuring the change in mass of reaction vessel and content not work well in reaction between magnesium and dilute sulfuric acid? So basically, because hydrogen gas has a very low density, here what gas is going to be formed? The hydrogen gas is going to be formed, which is very low in density. So the mass changes would be very small. This would result in a large measurement uncertainty. So that's the reason. Then we have question number 3. It says the reaction between calcium carbonate and dilute hydrochloric acid can be followed by collecting and measuring the volume of gas produced. The gas could be collected over water in a measuring cylinder or in a gas syringe. Which technique would be more suitable for this reaction, and explain your answer. So collection in a gas syringe would be more preferable because carbon dioxide is slightly soluble in water. Alternatively, the water could be saturated with carbon dioxide before the collection is started. So here we would recommend the collection in a gas syringe rather than using the other method, that is collection over water is not recommended because CO2 is soluble in water. Okay, so the next topic for unit 4, topic 11, it's topic 11a, part 2. Here we're going to discuss the rate equation, rate constant, and order of reaction. So basically, what is a rate equation? So whenever you're writing a rate equation, always remember that rate is equals to K concentration of A reactant and concentration of B reactant. Suppose we have an equation that's A plus B is equals to C or C plus D, whatever it is. We're not concerned about the product. Here we will be only talking about the reactants. So here in this case, what is K? K is the rate constant. And A and B both are the concentration of the reactant. When there's a big bracket shown, that makes it a concentration. And whatever the number given here, suppose it's M and N. So this M and N is actually the order of reaction. Order of reaction we will be discussing in this topic later on. So basically, this is what you call the rate equation. Okay, talking about the order. So order is either, what you're going to say, the order of reaction can be 0 order, it can be or first order, it can be second order, third order, and so on. So orders of the reaction can only be determined with the help of experiment. Okay, in order to find the rate unit of rate constant, here you can see the rate is equals to K. A is the reactant. Here we are talking about 0 order. This is for 0 order. For 0 order, you can see here the concentration of a reactant is 0. So 0 is actually, if there's a 0, then we don't consider A. We just omit this. And in order to find out the unit for rate, it is moles per dm cube. So the rate unit is actually the unit of rate constant over here. Moving on to another, it's the first order. For first order reaction, what happened is K is equals to, this is 1. This is for the first order. So finding out the value of K is going to be rate upon concentration of reactant. So this is 1. The unit of rate is moles per dm cube per second, and for concentration it is moles per dm cube. So we cancel out this with this and this with this. So what we will be left behind is only per second. So for first order, the unit of the k, that means the unit of the rate constant, is per second. Moving on to the second order, for in case of second order reaction, the unit for k, that means the unit for rate constant, we have to find it out just the way we have done with the other. This is 2, so that means 2 times, that's a second order. This is second order reaction equation. So in this case we have to apply it twice. So when we apply it twice, we have to multiply it by moles per dm cube, moles per dm cube. So we need to cancel it out over here, moles per dm cube, moles per dm cube, and then the final unit is going to be dm cube. For second order, it's going to be dm cube per mole per second. So this is going to be the unit for the second order. Moving on to the third order, what will happen in case of third order? The rate equation, according to the rate equation, the value of k is going to be something like this: rate upon the concentration of the reactant 3 times. So now we're going to cancel it out, and let's see, mole is going to be cancelled by mole and dm cube is going to be cancelled out by dm cube. So we will be left with mole and dm cube, moles minus 2, 6 dm cube, sorry, dm 6 times, and second per second is only once. So this is how, because we have dm minus 3 and minus 3 makes minus 6, so when it goes upward it will be plus 6. And moles per dm cube, we have 1 mole per dm cube, 1 mole per, so this makes it this. So this will be the final unit for rate constant. In order to understand the order of reaction, we need to know that whenever the rate of reaction is proportional to concentration, rate of the reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of A. It's always going to be first order. So this is called first order. That means if I increase the rate of reaction, if I double the rate of reaction, the concentration of A will also double. That means it's directly proportional. But in case of second order, what happened? The rate in case of second order, this is written something like this. So in case of second order, we say if you double the concentration, if you double the rate, concentration will increase by 4 times. So this is called the second order, because it's the square. So means if I double the rate of reaction, if I double it, the concentration will double, or if I double the concentration, the rate will multiplied by 2 times. If you double the concentration of A, the rate would go up to 4 times. If you triple the concentration of A, the rate would increase how many times? It will increase 9 times, right? So this is how it's called the second order reaction. And then we have a zero order reaction where the concentration and rate are independent of each other. So this is how we are going to indicate it by 0. So that means it's a zero order. It's not depending on each other. So let's recap it. In case of first order, if I increase the concentration by 2 times, the rate will increase 2 times. If I decrease it by 2 times, it will decrease by 2 times. So that's how the first order work. But in case of the second order, what happened? If you double the concentration of A, the rate would go up to 4 times, because this is the square, so it's going to rise up to 4 times. If I triple the concentration of A, the rate would increase how many times? It would increase 9 times. So this is how it works. But in case of a zero order, it is independent. It does not matter if I increase the concentration. It's not necessary the rate is going to be increased by the same value. So this is how these three orders. Now let's practice the questions related to this topic that we have already covered right now. Let's say question number 1 says the rate equation for the reaction between peroxydisulfate ion and iodide ion is this. So what the question is, what is the order of reaction with respect to peroxydisulfate? So if you look at this entirety, you will find that it is 1 only. There is nothing written, so that means it's the first order. And if they ask you about the iodide ion, what is the order of reaction with respect to iodide? So it's also 1. So the answer is 1 and 1 for both the cases. And then they say, what is the overall order? Means you have to add the order. For example, if I have a rate and the rate constant, if I have this A reactant and I have a B reactant, and both of them are having first order, and overall the reaction will be second order, because I have to add this 1 and 1. So both I added both the powers, so it becomes 2, second order. So in this case above we have 1 plus 1, so it will be second order will be the answer for part B. And then they say the rate equation for the reaction between P and Q is this. What will be the increase in rate if P is double? Because P is a first order. So what will happen if I double P is doubled while Q is kept constant? So what will be the rate? Because it's a first order, and I told you the first order is directly proportional. So if they double the value of P, the rate will also double. So you can say it will be double. Okay, then we have part B. It says if Q is double. Remember, Q is not a first order, because you can see here small 2. That means it's a second order. So it means that this second order, what happens in second order, if the concentration of second order is double, so what will happen to the rate? The rate is going to multiply by 2 into 2. That means it will be quadrupled. That means it will move, it will increase by 4 times, because that's the second order. So you can say quadruple. It means it's increased 4 times. I told you in case of first order, the rate is directly proportional to the concentration in case of first order. In second order, what happens? Second order, the rate will double, because it's the square of the reactant. So that means if I increase it 2 times, the rate will increase 4 times, because this is the square of it. And in case of zero order, we have studied that it will be independent. There is no direct relation of the concentration with the rate of the reaction. Okay, talking about part C, we have it says P and Q are both doubled. If I double both P and Q, you know P is the first order and Q is double. So how many times it will increase? If I double the Q, if I double Q, it will be 4, right? And if I double P, it will be 2. So how it will increase by the factor of 8. Talking about question number 3, in question number 3 we have in the reaction between R, S and T, when the concentration of R is double, the rate increases by 4 times. That means it's a second order. So R is actually a second order, because if I double it, it becomes 4 times. That means it's a second order. When concentration of S is double, the rate does not change. So that means in that case, S is going to be zero order, because in zero order it is independent. And then we have, when the concentration of T is double, the rate also doubles. So this is going to be, T is going to be first order, because in first order it's directly proportional. Moving on to deduce the order of the reaction, we have done this one. Write the rate equation for the reaction and what is the overall reaction. So can you write down the rate equation? It's very simple. You're just going to write rate, and you already know that R rate is equals to K, and R is a second order, so you just place 2 over it. And then we have T is a first order, so you place 1 over it, no need to write. And then S is a zero order, so if you write it or if you don't write it, it does not matter. So next in the next step, you're going to mention it's R and T only, because we're not going to mention S because it's a zero order. And if I talk about the overall, so you have to add all of the square, all of the powers. So here we have 2, here we have 1, and here we have 0. So if I add them all, so it's going to be, overall it's going to be a third order reaction. Now we'll study 11A, third topic, that is determine the order of reaction. So in order to understand how to find out the order of reaction, here we have 2 methods. One is a continuous method and the other one is called initial rate method. In continuous method, what happened, we're going to take out some sample from the reaction mixture, and then on regular interval, and then we're going to stop the reaction by quenching, and then we're going to find out the concentration with the help of analytical method like titration. And then after that, we're going to do 2 steps. One is draw concentration time graph, and the second one is find the half-life for different concentration. Here I'll explain you what half-life is. Half-life is the time taken for the concentration of the reactant to fall to 1/2 of its initial value. So if the half-life, if you draw a graph and the half-life is constant, that it's a first order, and if the half-life doubles, it's a second order, and half-life decreases with the passage of time, then it is going to be a zero order reaction. Let's find out from this graph. There's a concentration of the reactant, and then we have a time on x-axis. What happened if the total concentration is 120? If I half it in order to find out the half-life, that's 60. So to find out at 60, I'll find out the time. So it's going to be 100. This is the first half-life. If I half 60, it will be 30. So what will be the time for that? It's going to be 200. So if I subtract this out of it, it's going to be 100 here again. And if I half 30, it will be 15. So I have to find out the time here. So it will be the third half-life, and this is going to be 100. So as I told you, if the half-life is constant throughout the graph as shown here, it's 100, 100 and 100. So that means it's going to be a first order, because in first order the half-life will be constant. Now let's solve this problem. It is related to the initial rate method for determining the rate equation. So in this case, what we are going to do, if we look at experiment, let's say if we look at experiment 1 and 3, so what happened in case of 1 and 3, this 0.1 and 0.1 is constant. So now we're going to look for the concentration of A. Because B concentration is constant, so we can consider what is the relation of A with the rate of reaction. So because it's 0.1, so if I multiply it by 2, it is going to be 0.02. If I multiply it by 2, it will be 0.04. So that means if I double this, it will be double. That means it is directly proportional. So A is going to be the first order reaction, because if I increase the concentration of A by 2, the rate will also be increased by 2. It will be something like this. Because I have multiplied by 2, it will be multiplied by 2 as well, so it becomes 0.04. So that means it is a first order. Now let's consider for another reaction, we want to study the relation of the rate and concentration of reactant B. So in that case, we are going to only consider the one in which A is constant. So here we can see, here we can consider experiment 1 and experiment 2, because here the concentration of A is constant. So here we can study the relation of concentration of B with the rate of reaction. So what happened is 0.1, so it was 0.02. So if I multiplied by 2, the rate will also be multiplied by 2, so it becomes 0.04. That means this is also in direct relation. So rate is directly proportional to the concentration of B. So this means there is a direct relation between B and rate. So if I write the overall the rate of reaction, the equation, so it's going to be A and B, where both of them are first order. And if I am asked to write the overall rate of reaction, so it will be 1 plus 1. This 1 plus 1, so it's going to be 2 will be the overall rate of reaction. Now let's solve this question. It says a compound P decomposes when heated. The graph shows the change in concentration when a sample of P is heated. State what is meant by the term half-life. So if you are asked to write down the definition of half-life, so it's the half-life of a reaction is the time taken for the concentration of a reactant to fall to half of its original value. Part B says, use the graph to show the decomposition of P is a first order reaction. So here we need to find out the half-life. So we need to find out the first point. This is not exactly 5, so not exactly 6, so we consider it as 5.8. So if I divide it by 2 in order to find out the half-life, it will be something like 2.9. It has to be something like 2.9, right? So if I consider it 2.9 and I drop it, I just have to like draw a line over here, and if I drop it over here, so it will be around like 400 something. So it's going to be around 400 something, and then this is the first half-life. It's going to be around 400 approximately. And then if I want to find out the second half-life, this is the first half-life. If I want to find out the second half-life, so it will be around like 1 point something like 1 point, this was 2.9, so it's going to be 1.45 something. So it's going to be something over here. So if I do it like this, it's going to be, the half-life is going to be around 920 something. So it's something like this. So this will be approximately like 460 or 400. And then if I find out this is almost constant, so that means it's going to be first order, because the half-life first order reaction is constant. So here, because the half-life is constant, so it's going to be first order. Then it says, explain the effect on the half-life of doubling the initial concentration of P. So basically the half-life, because this is a first order reaction, so the first order reaction, the half-life is independent of the you can say of the initial concentration, so there will be no change. Then we have another point, that's D. In this, what we are going to do is the value of the K is going to be calculated by placing the half-life over here, and then we get the value, whatever the value you have, obviously because it's half-life, so it's going to be per second unit. Okay, so you just multiply it by whatever you get the value, because this graph is not actually correctly visible, so it's going to be 400, 460 around. So let's say if it's 460, the value is going to be 1.5, I think it will be 1.5 10 raised to power minus 3. So this is going to be the answer. Okay, then we have write the rate equation for the reaction. So how are we going to write the rate equation? Because it's a first order, the rate equation is very simple. You're just going to place the value K, and because we're talking about the reactant P and it's the first order reaction. Then we have used the graph to determine the concentration of P at 800 seconds. So this was for 460 seconds, but if you want to find it out for 800, then you will just divide it by 800. Then you have used the rate equation from E and your answer to D F1 to calculate the rate of reaction at 800 seconds. So for F, the part 1, it's going to be around, you just need to multiply by saying that at 460 it is 1.5, so what will be at 800? So the answer is going to be 1.7 10 raised to power minus 4 moles per dm cube. And then we have the second part. Let's do the second part over here. Second part says use the rate equation from E and your answer to D and F and 1 to calculate the rate of reaction at 800. Second, include units in your answer. So in order to do that, we're going to write the rate is that we have already calculated, that was 1.5 10 raised to power minus 3 per second multiplied by 1.7, that was at 800, 10 raised to 800 second for moles, because this was the concentration, so it's going to moles per dm cube, and the final answer is going to be 2.6 10 raised to power minus 7 moles per dm cube per second. So this is how you're going to find it out. Then we have describe how part G, describe how could you determine the rate of reaction at 800 from the graph, obviously by drawing the tangent. Draw a tangent to the curve at 800. Second, determine the gradient of the tangent. So it's very simple, you just have to draw the tangent at 800 second over here. You have to draw a tangent at 800 second, and then you have to find the value.